Things I didn't expect about life in Argentina, 1 month review. So I've been here in Argentina for a month now. I'm currently about to leave, going to Colombia tonight in about 4 hours. So I wanted to shoot this kind of review video before I forget and allow things to escape me. So I kind of want to give you the takeaway of this video. I want to go into the nuances, the culture. I want to talk about the social norms here and the dating dynamics to the day-to-day surprises that Argentina has offered me here in Cordoba. So I'm gonna be talking from a general perspective, then from a comparison between Cordoba and Buenos Aires, and then also in general from like Argentina comparison to other Latin countries. Let's just stick to Colombia for now. So I want to talk about first what the things that surprised me, then I'll get into the positives, and then I'll get into kind of like the cons here in Argentina. So first off the gate, the first thing that surprised me here in at least in Cordoba, Argentina, is that people don't grind. They don't go to clubs and they don't grind here. I think also in Buenos Aires, I don't remember grinding being like crazy. If you come from the States, let's just say like you came from like the Bay Area or you're from like Los Angeles, you're used to grinding very sexually. You're used to girls twerking, grinding. And then if you also compare it to like Colombia, there's a lot of grinding that happens there. I mean, for the love of God, I think reggaeton, the birthplace of reggaeton was in Colombia. For me, when I came here to Argentina, having people not grind was kind of almost, it's negative for me, but it was really surprising. Because they do play reggaeton here. Specifically here in Cordoba, they play something called cuarteto, which is, I don't know, to my ears, it's just like Latin music. It's like cumbia, salsa, merengue, like mixed together, like tango mixed together. And there's like a dance to it too, which also kind of looks like merengue and salsa mixed together. And here in Argentina, what is really popular is you'll get like a drink and it'll be you and your friends in a circle, like at a club, and then you pass the drink around in the circle. So it's basically like, imagine you're with friends in a circle and you're passing the blunt. So you get, if someone passes the blunt to you, you smoke it, take a hit or two, and then you like pass it to the person to the right, or you pass it to the person to the left, right? It's a rotation. The same thing here in Argentina, but they also do it at clubs with drinks. So sometimes it's just one drink that gets passed around, and it's a big drink. Sometimes it's two drinks in rotation, and you're like, oh, damn. Here what's really popular is drinking Fernet, which is some kind of alcoholic beverage, but it's interesting how they mix it. They mix it with Coca-Cola, and you're not supposed to mix it with Coca-Cola Zero. It's only the regular Coca-Cola, which to me, I don't understand the difference, but hey, who am I to judge? I have like this, and it's really interesting how they do it too. Like if you go to like the barrio, what they'll do is they'll get the Coca-Cola Zero, and then they'll open it up, and then they'll put some of the Coca-Cola in one cup, and then they'll close a big, the liter Coca-Cola, they'll close it back up. So now there's like some space and air into the Coca-Cola bottle. Then they'll get scissors, and then they'll cut the liter Coca-Cola Fernet in, and then you'll literally have like a liter, a plastic Coca-Cola liter Fernet, and people will just be passing it around, and you just, that's normal here. So here they're really into sharing drinks, and to me, I kind of wonder like, how do you avoid getting sick? Like, what if someone's sick? Do you just like not invite them to the party or the previa, which is the pregame? Just one of the things that surprised me, but hey, they seem to pull it off. So that's one of the surprises here. One, again, the no grinding. And the second thing is sharing of drinks, almost like a blunt. Another thing that surprised me is here in Cordoba, there's more of a younger crowd because there's like the number 1 university, or I think it's the oldest university in all of Argentina, which is the University of Cordoba. And so you'll have a lot of people from a lot of younger kids coming here to study for free because the education system in Argentina is free. And so you'll have a lot of people from different, I guess, pueblos or states of Argentina coming here just to study because it's the #1 university of all of Argentina. And then you also get like a mixture of other people from like Chile, Bolivia, Brazil, that will come here to study. I'm not sure here specifically in Cordoba, but there is a lot of foreigners going to study in the university in Buenos Aires, which I don't remember what the university is called, but yeah, there's a lot of younger kids here coming to study. So this Cordoba almost feels like a Berkeley kind of vibe, if you know what I'm talking about. Like it's if you stay near Nuevo Cordoba, it's just a lot of younger kids, and you get like that kind of vibe where you don't feel almost like you don't have like that big city type of feel as if you do in Buenos Aires. Like think of Buenos Aires almost like New York and almost like a mini replica of Paris. But here in Cordoba, you'll get more of like you'll get like a university, Berkeley type of vibe here, where people are younger crowd, younger demographic. So that's what it feels like here, which I was really surprised by compared to like Buenos Aires. Also, another thing that I was surprised by is that Argentinians hate people from Chile. That's just something that I've discovered. And you can go up to like 10 people and like 9 out of 10 of them will like hate people from Chile. And they'll actually give you a list of why they hate people from Chile. It's not just like something they heard on social media or because all of their friends hate people from Chile. Like they'll give you an actual reason and they'll talk to you about it. Like they'll educate you on the war Malvidas, the war crimes that like the UK committed, how Chilenos opened up the ports and allowed the UK to establish a base in one of the ports in Chile. So we'll talk about the betrayal and all of that. So that's another surprising thing.
Odio los chilenos.
Who do you hate more, Bolivians or Chilenos?
A los chilenos. A los chilenos mil veces.
Chilenos.
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 Chilenos. Chilenos. Chilenos. Chilenos.
Son unos forros.
¿Forros?
Forros. Son malas personas, o sea, forros. Forro.
Forros. Traicioneros. Putos.
Another difference that I was surprised by is that here in Cordoba, you don't have like the same kind of lingo or slang that they use in Buenos Aires. Like for instance, in Buenos Aires, you'll hear a lot of like banda, which means like a lot of, or plentiful of, which is like there's a lot of people. Or they'll say like alta, alta noche. Ayer tuvimos a tener una alta noche. So you don't really hear that a lot. Instead here in Cordoba, they'll say something like, ayer era una nochazo. So you'll have that instead of like alta noche, which is like a small little thing, but I was able to pick up on that. Also too, like another thing that I feel, which is interesting, is that here they'll have something called a baile, which is essentially, think of it, I don't know if you are learning Spanish, when you think of baile, you think of like a dance. So you're thinking, oh, a club or a place where they'll play salsa. No, I've never been to one for transparency, but the way that they've described it and how dangerous it can be because of people going there just to steal iPhones and phones and stuff like that, is think of a baile like almost like a huge concert where it's almost like a rave. So if you're from California or from the US and you're into like rave and techno and like dubstep and you go to like EDC, think of like a festival like that where there's like one stage and there's multiple performances and artists. Think of a baile like that. So you'll have basically a huge concert that's only cuarteto. And cuarteto is a style of music that I guess maybe originated here in Cordoba. I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on that, but it's dangerous because people literally will just go there to steal from other people. Because entry to a baile is only like 5,000 pesos, which is like, I don't know, $4, $3. So you'll have a lot of people from like, impoverished, I don't know what the word is, but poor people from barrios who will go to steal an iPhone and then they have like, 3 months of their rent paid off. So every single time I talk to someone about a baile, they're always warning me, oh, if you go, like, make sure you don't have your cell phone in your pocket. And I'm like, oh, but don't worry, my pants have like a zipper, so I can put my stuff in, and my pocket has a zipper, so I'll close it. And they're like, that's not good enough, because like when you're dancing, you just won't know, and especially if you're all drinking, they'll just like zip it slowly, and then they'll steal your stuff. So what they told me to do is you get like think of a fanny pack. So you get a fanny pack, you put all of your belongings, and then you put your fanny pack on you, that's across your chest, and then you put your t-shirt over. So that's how they do it here. Also, here, t-shirt it's not camisa, which is how I learned to say it. In Mexico, camisa. Over here, camisa is remera, which I have no idea if that is where the fuck that came from. Someone has to explain it to me, because camisa, I don't know, when I was in Guatemala, in Mexico, I've never heard anyone say remera. But yeah, that's kind of a thing that I learned here, which surprised me, that you have people going to, they have, you know, people in Argentina have their own festivals here. They have Cuarteto, and you still have those scammers and people going to festivals, stealing people's stuff. So, hey, it's like the NOS Center 2.0, or I guess 0.5. So let's go into the pros. So the pros of Argentina or Cordoba is, for one, the safety. Comparing, I'd say, Cordoba to Buenos Aires, I feel safer here in Cordoba. Actually, when I was in Buenos Aires, I remember walking home from a club at like, I don't know, 5, and I literally witnessed a robbery in front of me. At the time, I thought a guy was getting jumped, because I filmed it too. I filmed this shit. I filmed it, and before I press play, what you don't see in the video is you see this guy getting jumped by 2 people, and he's getting lit up. Like, they're punching him. He's taking shots to the head, and he's backing up. And at one point, he gives his back. And I didn't see this until like the day after, when I was like taking a shit and like looking at the video again. And I'm like, I slowed it down. I'm like, oh, he got robbed. That's how quick it was. That in real life, I had no idea he got robbed. And it took me literally a day to realize he got robbed. But because he was getting punched in the face, he turned around, gave his back to stop getting hit, and they reached into his pockets, grabbed his phone and his wallet, and they just both started running off. But it's a lot safer here, I feel like, compared to Buenos Aires. But in general, Argentina is so much safer than Colombia, way safer. So I think in terms of like danger, I feel the most in danger when I'm in like Medellin. That's like top. Then I feel the most in danger. Then underneath that is probably Pereira, Colombia. And underneath that, I feel it's like probably Buenos Aires. And then Mexico, Guadalajara, and here, Cordoba might be like a tie. I feel like maybe Mexico might be safer. Again, my experience, right? My lived experience is I feel like Mexico is safer. But then you also have the cartel in Mexico. So that means if you're not looking for trouble, if you're just walking, minding your own business, I feel like for sure Mexico is safer, just because the income inequality isn't as huge and vast as it is in Colombia and Argentina. And that's what really, from my learnings and research, that's when you start to have a petty crimes and petty thefts and robberies, like petty robberies on the streets, is when you go to a country or a state and there's like a huge income inequality. But that's another thing that I've learned, is it's a lot safer walking here as opposed to like Colombia. Another positive thing is that there's really good infrastructure here in Argentina. This just, you walk around and you feel like this should be a first world country. They have their infrastructure together, they have their roads together. There's just so much in place in terms like sewage, water systems. There's just so much in place that you just wonder, what the fuck happened? Why isn't this another first world country? It looks like a first world country, but then you get into it and you just realize people here are suffering. Like, people, I don't know how they do it. But they have literally make ends meet somehow. Just to put things into perspective is like a t-shirt will, if you go to the shopping mall, a t-shirt will cost like $50 US, $40 US. But then on average, a person working here, they'll make like $1.50 an hour. They'll make like $13 in a full day. They'll make 13 US dollars. And then so you're just like wondering like how the hell do people afford even a meal? Because if you go to McDonald's here costs like, I don't know, $11 for like a meal, right? That's just one meal. And like a person working here a full day will make $13. How do they afford to eat? And from talking to people, they just say, we're magicians, we do magic, and most people here aren't working one job, they're working two jobs, and also probably like a side business or side hustle. In fact, if you go to like a park, or like I guess it's called a plaza here, which is basically, it's literally a park, right? There's like swings and stuff and people are playing soccer. You'll see people kind of like make tables and they'll start like selling things like trinkets, bracelets. And those are people literally, that's their side business. That's on top of having a full-time job, on top of having a part-time job, that's their side business in order to like make ends meet. And yeah, so it's like people from Argentina are literally working around the clock and it's insane. So shout out to the people in Argentina, man. You guys are, yeah, that's another thing that I noticed. And I guess that's a positive thing is just Argentinians are really hard workers and they make do. They just make do with what they have. But going back to the Eben structure, yeah, it feels like New York. It feels like kind of like Paris. It looks like you walk around, the architecture is beautiful. You know, it's just, you just wonder like, what did it go wrong? It feels like a first world country. The roads are painted nicely. There's like a few potholes. You know, people that work on, you know, garbage, pick up their garbage. There's a society here. And it feels like a first world country, but then when you come here, you start to experience really like the inflation and people like not having money and suffering and things like that. So it's just, you're left to wonder. Another thing too is here in Cordoba, people are really friendly. They are very helping. They'll give you recommendations. I'll have like Uber drivers give me recommendations and then like they'll be like, oh, if you want to like get your number and send you more information. So like, they'll add me on WhatsApp and they'll like send me like 7 messages on like, go here for this city's good for this. An hour away to, if you want to go over here, that's like a good spot to sightsee. And so they're really friendly in that regards. And then there's also like this novelty effect. So like another tangent to this is there's a novelty effect because you come from another country. One of the first things they'll ask is, where are you from? And this is also maybe like a negative, like a con, which maybe I'll touch on this later. But there's really a measuring stick from what I get to. I can only relate this to the only kind of frame of reference I have of what it feels like when they ask, where are you from? Is when someone from Hollywood or Los Angeles or New York asks you, oh, what do you do? You think on the surface level, you think it's, oh, they're interested, they're being friendly, they're making conversation. But there's a deeper nuance to this, and that nuance is they're measuring you on how much respect to give you. And again, my frame of reference is Los Angeles. When you ask someone, what do you do? And you hear, oh, I'm a student, you kind of categorize them, you put them in a certain category, and you kind of give a certain amount of attention, a certain amount of respect and patience to that person, versus someone who says, I'm unemployed, versus someone who says, I'm a CMO of a company in tech that is in Series B with 200 employees. Like when people ask other people in the US, like, what do you do? The surface layer, yeah, it's like, I'm curious, let's make some small talk, I'm interested in learning more about you. But then maybe subconsciously, it's really a measuring stick of like how much patience, attention, and respect to give you. And there's the same thing here. But instead of like, what do you do? The first question, because you have an accent, I have an accent, they'll ask, where are you from? So if I were to say, I'm from Colombia, they look at me a certain way. If I say I'm from Mexico, they don't really feel a certain type of way. They're just like, whatever. But when I say I'm from California, they're like, oh, you're from California? Oh, I heard so much about that. I have like a friend that I visited one time. Like, oh, is it true about this? Like, oh wow, what are you doing here? Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's kind of like the friendliness and the novelty effect. I guess they're always friendly, but the novelty effect really comes from where you come from. So if you say you're from Cali or from New York, you're you're gonna be like that new kid on the block or that new kid in school. They're gonna like flock to you. They're gonna start to ask you a lot of questions. But there is almost a, I don't know what to call it. I'm just gonna call it a novelty effect, depending on where you're from.
Parejita, ¿son pareja? Sí, mi esposa. ¿Tu esposa? ¿De dónde sos?
De Cali.
¿De California? ¿O de Cali, Colombia?
California.
California, presente, che, internacionales, mira qué lindo.
I've literally had a girl I was talking to, she told me, like she asked, like, oh, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from Cali. And they're like, oh, you're from Colombia? I was like, no, I'm from California. Oh, California. Oh, like the excitement she just lit up, dude. She lit up from like, oh, California. Oh, but before she was like, oh, Colombia? And oh, California. And then what did she do after that? Oh, right. And then I went into detail, like, because she asked, hablas muy bueno el castellano or whatever. Like, yeah. Basically, they're saying, oh, you speak Spanish really well. And I go into detail saying, oh, it's because, you know, my mom and dad are from Mexico. I'm Mexican. How are Mexicans perceived here? Should I say that I'm Mexican to other people? Like, yeah, don't. She was like, don't lead with that. She literally said, don't lead the conversation with, like, you're from Mexico. Because they said here, at least here in Cordoba, Argentina, they say Mexicans are like you'll say like, this is what she literally said. She was like, so USA, Mexico, Argentina. So if you say from USA, you're here. If you say from Mexico, you're like here. And then anywhere else, you're like down here. I'm just like, why the fuck do you hate Mexico? Also too, why is tequila here like $60? Literally, every single time I go to like a kiosco to buy tequila, I'm always like, oh, you have tequila? And I'll see it and it's like fucking 60,000 pesos. I'm just like, why do you guys hate Mexicans so much? And they start laughing. And then let's just start laughing. But it's not really like a hate thing, it's a rivalry. From what I was told, it's a rivalry due to soccer. So anytime Mexico and Argentina play, it's like this heated rivalry, and I guess it spills over. And so, yeah, Mexicans, they're not liked that much here in Cordoba. However, again, my experience is there happens to be some people in Buenos Aires who actually find the Mexican accent, they find it attractive. Like kind of funny / attractive. They like how it sounds. I'm not sure if this is a minority but yeah, there's some people that like Mexicans because they find the accent kind of like attractive and funny. Mexicans are like kind of liked in Buenos Aires and then almost like non-existent, I guess, here in Cordoba. Or I guess like the right word would be, it's like meh, like eh. Yeah, that's like the best way I can eh. Oh, also too, what surprised me, also pro, is show your ID, show your driver's license from USA. So whether it's from California, from Washington, New York, show it. Because they've never seen that in their life and they will flip out, dude. They will flip out and you'll have people like flocking to you, like trying to like meet you and ask you questions. Just like you'll be life of the party. Like that's it's a literal hack. It's a literal party trick. Just flip out your license, show it around, and people will just start talking to you like you are the guy. You're like, yeah, it's insane. You'll have girls like grabbing you by like the arm to like ask questions, like look up at you and ask you questions. It's insane how much of a hack just showing your ID is. Anytime now I say I'm like talking to someone and I say, oh, I'm from California, and it's like I'm at a bar or a club or a previa, I don't even like try to prove, like say like, oh no, I am. I just like, just show it. I literally just show it. I literally just show my ID and then they're just like, what the yeah, dude, it's a little hack. So that's like another thing too. Now I want to talk about something very interesting. So I want to talk about dating and just kind of like that social dynamics of man to woman. I'll start with the positives, or not in any order, so just some observations. The women from Argentina are probably one of the most intelligent women from Latin America. The amount of high-level intellectual conversations that I've had with women here is just, sometimes I'm just taken aback by the conversating about mathematics and physics and astronomy and like philosophy and politics in the U.S. And I'm just like, shit, I don't even know that much about the politics in the U.S. And talking about their policies here in Argentina, and there's been little times where I'm talking to a girl and the conversation goes into a very intellectual level, and I'm literally get pulled out because I'm just like, wait, I've never had a conversation about this with a girl in Latin America. The conversations I've had in other countries like Colombia have only been about like reggaeton and the gangs, and some other girl got pregnant, and like what to do in like, you know, this town, and how this other town is like really dangerous, or like certain like words. Oh, we say here in Colombia, we say, you know, this, and we don't say that, or we'll talk about like slang, or like differences in Spanish compared to like Mexico or like Colombia, but it's like never higher than that kind of like service level. But here in Argentina, there's just been times where I'm just like, damn, I can't keep this conversation going because I just don't know enough about X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, damn, it's just insane. Which is great because you're not bored. You can have really sophisticated conversations, and it's really invigorating. It's almost like someone's scratching an itch in your brain when it comes to conversations that no other girl can scratch, because they just can't reach that level. That itch is always scratched here, but it's never scratched in any other countries. Mexico for sure, yeah. But there's just like a lot of girls here know their history. They know the history about different wars, treachery that happened with like Chile. They know about like, the healthcare system, and yeah, it's just very interesting to have those conversations. And you learn a lot. Like I feel like all of the things that I've learned about Chile and like the history in the past and education here, it's all through women. Like, these are all conversations that I've literally had. I'm just like, damn, these are really good conversations that I would never have in Colombia. And I know there's a YouTuber that mentions this, and it's absolutely true. And you'll start to see it. If your Spanish is like conversational level wise, you'll start to have really good conversations. Yeah, it's just like a different level here. Also here, women tend to be a little bit more independent. There's some good and bad with that. I'd say from like a woman's perspective, the woman is used to the man trying to go 50-50 on a bill. So the normal here is, I guess, when you're a couple, you'll kind of like split the bill, or maybe like your girl gets the bill one time and then you get the bill next time. Whereas in Colombia, that's not the case. As a man, you're supposed to be paying for the date, the first date, second date, and for the rest of your life. That's kind of like the difference. That's how I was raised. So like to me, that's like the culture in Colombia is like nothing new to me. That's what I expect. It's normal for a girl here to expect her to pay for some of the dates. So like when you, as a man, come here and you're saying, no, baby, no, I don't believe in that. I believe I'm supposed to pay for all the dates. They're just like, whoa, wow, such a gentleman. And of course, if you like open the door for her, you do the sidewalk rule, that really goes a long way for women here. Because I don't think the guys here are that romantic. Like my girl here, she said the only other person that gave her flowers was her dad. And no other guy has ever given her flowers. So I got her flowers. You have an advantage as a man if you treat a woman with respect, dignity, and you're chivalrous and a gentleman. It goes a long way here. Also too, what I mean by independent is like, for example, like my girl here, like to see me, she'll Uber by herself. Whereas like in Colombia, my girls in Colombia, they would Uber to my spot, but it would be like, they'll have the setting like in cash. And so when they get to my Airbnb, I have to come down and I have to pay for the Uber, or I have to pay for the taxi. And that's, I'd say, like majority of the girls there. And then also too, like my girl here, if she's thirsty, right? And we've been walking around and she wants to buy a water bottle from a kiosco. She'll go to the kiosco, I'll go with her. She'll pick out the water bottle, she'll go in line, she'll give it to the cashier, and then she'll pay for her own water. Whereas in Colombia, I'm paying for that. So like girls are more independent. If they want something, they don't just ask you for it, they just go and get it themselves. It's like a plus, I'd say it's a plus. I definitely find that really attractive. Whereas in Colombia, like, the girls there are just, they all lie, they all cheat, they're just, they're all vividoras. But here in Argentina, they're not like that. Women here, I guess like this is like another plus, is women here have high morals and loyalty. There have been times where I like a cold approach a woman and she'll be like, oh, I have a boyfriend. This happened multiple times. And I'll try to like still get the number. And I'll say something like, oh, it's okay, baby, I can keep a secret. And they'll be like, no, I can't give it to you. And they'll be like, oh, but we could just like start off as friends, you know, like maybe you guys break up later on. And I'll be like, no. So I'll be persistent, but I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm just like, oh, okay, I really respect it. Like you seem like a really loyal person. I really respect that. Best of luck to you and your boyfriend. I'll leave, right? But in Colombia, dude, the girl could have like a boyfriend for like 8 years, 5 years, right? And you hit on her. Maybe she tells you she has a boyfriend, maybe she doesn't. And if she does tell you that she has a boyfriend and you say like, oh, it's okay, I can keep a secret, you'll get the IG. There's been times where I do that. I get her IG and she's the one DMing me first. I'm just like, whoa, what the? And I'm with my friend, I'm like, whoa, look. She has a boyfriend and like, look, like she's DMing me first. And I'm like, hitting her up, I'm like, oh, you missed me that fast? And then she's like, haha, kind of. I'm like, what? Dude, girls in Colombia are not faithful. I would never marry a Colombian woman just because out of fear of like, they would cheat on me. But here in Argentina, they're a little bit more faithful. And I'm speaking on averages, okay? On averages, women here are more faithful, more loyal, they're more loyal. So going back to the independent. So yeah, women here are more independent and they show more gratitude and appreciation for the things that you do. And which also means that there's less entitlement. Whereas in Colombia, they know they're pretty, they know they're the prize. So they kind of expect for you to pay, they expect you to do certain things. And they may not show that gratitude and appreciation may not be as strong as it would be here in Argentina. And this is a con for sure, but there is a growing number of feminism. So feminism here is pretty high. You'll have a lot of women who, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like in the US, where feminism there is basically, if you're a man, you are the enemy. And like here feminism is, I'd say, I haven't really encountered too many feminists personally, but from the ones that I've encountered, they're still very feminine in their ways. They're still, like my friend, so this Airbnb that I'm at used to be my friend's. He met a feminist and he was going out with her for like a week or 2 weeks. And their first date, she came over and she started cleaning. She started cleaning his like apartment I don't know why. And then she cooked for him. And I'm just like, you sure she's a feminist? And he was like, yeah, bro, like she's a feminist. He said, for sure she's a feminist, but even the feminists here are kind of like feminine in like some aspects. I think maybe feminism here is more so to do with like, you know, like equal pay, not being assaulted or murdered, just like discrimination and things like that. Whereas in the West, again, it's more so like they've gotten past that and now they're just like, well, fuck all men. Fuck all men. So it's different here, but I don't really quote me on this because again, the couple of girls I've experienced here were not feminists, and I've asked them like, do you consider yourself a feminist? And they've all said no. So I don't really have a good personal understanding, but when I talk to other people and men here and my friends like, oh, there's a lot of feminists here, they all agree that there is a lot of feminists. This is like talking to Uber drivers, people, guys that like clubs and bars. The consensus on the men's side is that there are a lot of feminists. Compared to that, to Colombia, when there's like really no feminists there. It's very traditional. Women are very feminine in their ways. But like here, I guess from like almost also like from like a physical appearance, you'll have a lot of feminists. A lot of the women here smoke tobacco. They wear baggy pants. They'll have dyed blue hair or red hair or pink hair. They're not dressed or presenting themselves in a feminine way compared to other countries like Colombia. So yeah, that's my perspective on feminism. So if you've traveled to Colombia and Argentina, and you've gotten to see both sides, I want to know if you do think there's a lot of feminists here in Argentina compared to other countries. All right, change of pace here and change of scene. So I want to talk about the cons now. One of the cons of Argentina would be the high cost of living, the high cost of things. This has increased dramatically over the time. A year ago now, it was pretty affordable, but now the cost of foods, groceries, has increased by like 3 times. If you go to the shopping mall, clothes is costing around $60 for a t-shirt. And pair this with the low wages that Argentinians make, it's almost unaffordable to shop at shopping malls. So that's one of the cons right now, is that the wages has stayed the same, but the cost of goods has increased dramatically. The second thing would be having to be the meals. So the meals are extremely expensive. If you go to like McDonald's, a meal there will cost you about $12 to $13. And again, the average Argentinian is only making like $1.50 per hour. And so for them to afford a meal, they'd have to work about 12 hours, 10 hours to afford a meal at McDonald's. Then also another thing is that the theft in Argentina is pretty high. One of the things that I was warned about was bailes, which is basically like a rave in California. Have you ever been to like a NA center? That the raves are pretty dangerous, and there's a lot of theft that goes on. The people pickpocket, or they'll rip into your backpack and steal your cell phones. The same thing exists in Argentina. One of the things to combat this is to get it as a man purse, and then put your belongings in the man purse, and then put the man purse over your chest, but then put your t-shirt over that man purse. So that way it's almost impossible for someone to go into your man purse and steal your belongings, your phone, your credit card, and things like that. So theft does exist, but it's not as prevalent as Colombia. I feel a lot safer in Argentina just walking around. I just feel safer. It might have to do something with like the culture. I feel like Argentinians don't really rob that much. Now, again, it does happen. When I was in Palermo, every week I'd hear someone yell like, it's very common for theft to happen, but it's theft where it's on a motorcycle, and if you have your phone out and you're in the corner of a street, the person in the motorcycle will come and just snatch your phone. That's the most common ways to get robbed, I think, in Argentina. Here in Colombia, like you're pretty much gonna get robbed at gunpoint anywhere like from like 8 p.m. You'll be walking down the street and you'll get robbed at gunpoint. In Argentina, not so much. It's more of like quick snatches and things like that. Another thing that I noticed is that Argentinians are very, I'd say, like opportunist. And I'll give you an example. So when you'll be quick to make friends, like Uber drivers who are driving around. They'll make conversation. They'll be curious about where you're from. As soon as you drop, you're from California, it's a nonstop conversation from like point A to point B, and they'll even suggest adding them on WhatsApp in order so they can give you like tips and like where to go, and they do this with like a good intention. And there's been times where they give me like recommendations, and it's like 7 messages like go here, go there, go over here, this is good for this, but there's always like an expectation for something. And I'll give you an example. So like on my way to the airport, I met a man who was giving me life advice about women, and how Argentine women are like also like very like lively in the sense of like they'll take advantage of you. And this is from an Argentinian man who's like in his late 50s. And so, he's giving me a life advice and like how to vet women. And I took that, I was like, thank you for the life advice. That's really kind of you. And, at the end of the day, he dropped me off, helped me with my luggage. And he said, hey, if you ever come back, let's add each other on WhatsApp. Here's my number. Contact me. I'll take care of you. And I said, oh, thank you. Right. And then so I didn't think much of it. And, you know, by the time I landed in Colombia, he texted me, like, you know, sent me a voice message saying, you know, I hope you made it safe. Let me know if you got there okay. And I said, yeah, I made it safe. I'm here in Colombia. And then right after that, he says, hey, listen, I'm looking to buy a phone, a Samsung or an Android or like a Xiaomi in like this dimension. And when you get the chance, could you look into me for that? It's because over here in Argentina, it's very expensive, and I'll pay you back. I just met this man like less than 36 hours, and he's already asked me to buy him $1,000 phone. That's what I mean by opportunist, is like there's good intentions, but there's probably something behind the good intentions. And I'm not saying that this is just in Argentina. I'm saying like be careful, because you are a tourist, you're a foreigner, and this happens all the time. I'm not gonna hide and lie and say this doesn't happen in Hollywood. Of course it happens everywhere in LA, Hollywood, but you have to be very mindful and careful as a foreigner that you don't get taken advantage of. So in that situation, if you face the same situation, just say money up front first. Get paid first, make sure the money's in your bank account, and then go out and buy the phone for this guy. Just, you know, FYI. That's a con of Argentina. Another con is that there's no twerking and grinding. When you go to nightclubs, you'll like clubs like boliches, just look around. There's a lot of people, but pay attention and tell me how many people are grinding or twerking. And if you're like at a reggaeton spot, pay very close attention to this. And if you've already gone to one, think about the time when you were there and try to recollect and tell me how many people were twerking and grinding. I'm talking about like San Jose, Bay Area, Los Angeles, like grinding. Not, I don't know how people grind in like the Midwest or anything, but it doesn't exist. And I've asked around. The consensus is it used to exist back in the day, like in the 2000s, 2005, 2006. But this generation, Gen Z, they don't dance. So it's not really like a Argentinian cultural thing, but it's more of a generational Argentinian cultural thing. I am 31 years old. I don't know if even Gen Z, you know, in LA grind. I think they do. I've been to the clubs recently. I've seen people grind, but when I tell you it does not exist, like you'll be at a club, and you'll go like 3 nights straight, and you'll see like one person, one guy and girl grinding. It's not common to like go up to a random person and hit on them and then start grinding and dancing. Like you don't do that with strangers. It's very uncommon. The one pair that I did see grinding and dancing, they were already in a group, and I'm pretty sure they were already like boyfriend, girlfriend. But just being mindful of this. So if you really want to, like, if you love dancing, you like going to clubs, Argentina might not be the move for you. It's, you know, something to take into consideration. It might not be the move because grinding and dancing just probably does not exist there. Another con is that there's no Amazon in Argentina. It's very hard to order things. They have their own version of Amazon, from what I can tell. I think it's called Libre Mercado, which is like the open market. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if it's a different app. But I've been told it's basically like Amazon in Argentina. So if you do plan to go to Argentina, make sure you have everything that you need, and maybe get extras for some things that you think might break or you might finish too quickly. Make sure you plan ahead, because you can't simply order things on Amazon. Here in Colombia, you can. I think in pretty much every Latin American country, you can order through Amazon and it can be delivered. Mexico, I know for sure you can. Colombia, you can. I don't really trust the Amazon in Latin American countries. Like here in Colombia, I had to ask a company, a organization that lived close to me, to say, hey, I want to order something on Amazon, but I don't really trust my Airbnb and the people next to me. Can I have it delivered to your company address, your shop, and then I'll just come, I'll communicate with you on WhatsApp, you tell me when it comes, and we'll go from there. And I'll tip them like 20,000 Colombian pesos, just for the hassle. And they're really nice about it. I'm sure they'll make an exception. They'll say yes, but just make sure, like that's a hack, a travel hack for Amazon, because I don't really trust the people here in Colombia. Be very stingy with your trust. In general, when you're traveling, be very stingy with your trust, and the people, the streets, everything. That's just one thing I'll say. So yeah, Amazon, it does not exist. All right, another con is withdrawing money. it fucking sucks. Argentina is like the worst place to pull out money. If you go to like any kind of bank, they're charging you essentially $10 per transaction that you want to take out money. So imagine you want to take out $10, you're going to get charged $10. It almost does not make sense to get charged. You'll have Argentinians complain like, why the fuck am I getting charged 10,000 pesos, Argentinian pesos, like 11,000 Argentinian pesos to take out money? And then the people working there are like, hey, we don't make the rules, we're just working here. So like, even they're complaining. So there is like a loophole, like Western Union. You'll have to like download the app and make an account and then move money from like your Chase or your American Express into Western Union, then physically go to the Western Union in Argentina and then pull out money from there. And that can be a bitch because every single time I see a Western Union in Argentina, there's a goddamn long line. It's ridiculous. So you have to either go extremely early or on an off time. So just be prepared to get like bent over when it comes to withdrawing money. I'd say how I deal with it is I just don't pull money if I have to. I just always use a Chase credit card. With Chase credit card, you basically get the same equivalent as the blue dollar. Right now, as I'm recording this, is 2025. I'm not exactly sure how that equates to or what the actual conversion is, but at the end of like 2023, it was pretty much the same thing. You would basically get just a little bit under the blue dollar, and for the hassle that, and also for like the charging that you're getting for taking out money from any bank in Argentina, and also the hassle of the whole Western Union and waiting in line, just do Chase credit card, Chase debit card. Just don't deal with the hassle of Western Union, and don't deal with the hassle of just getting, the transaction fees from any other bank when you're pulling from your ATM or your debit card. I will also say that in terms of withdrawing money, Argentinian, this is from my understanding, my experience, don't ask or don't say in Argentina, when they ask you like, how do you want to pay, just say tarjeta. And if they say débito or debit, just say yes, just lie. Just like, even if you're paying with a credit card, just lie. They can't tell a difference. And I've tested this over and over again. Just say like, oh, I want to pay with tarjeta de débito. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, we accept it. It's because Argentinians want the money up front so fast because of the inflation and the changing economies. And, one day it's an apple is this amount and the next day it's this amount. They just want the money now instead of tomorrow or like a week from now. And because of this, they know that a credit card takes a while for the money to go into the bank account. So they just want either efectivo, which is cash, or they want debit. So just lie and say you have debit, it's a debit card. Just lie. Just lie. You're not going to get any penalty fees. If you're using Chase, you're not going to get any penalty fees. You're not going to get charged extra. They won't be able to tell. So just lie and say it's debit. That's my unethical hack of dealing with Argentina and money and withdrawing things. So thank me later. But also test it out, because this is with a Chase credit card, I don't have any problems. But if you're using like an American Express or some other credit card and you're using your credit card as a debit card, you might get charged some fees. So just double check and make sure. So test it on something small, like go to like a kiosco, buy like a granola bar or whatever, or a soda that's like $2, and just lie and say, yeah, it's debit. Use your credit card and see your transactions and see if you get charged extra. So that's like a little tip right there. Another thing that sucks and I hate, another con, is that everything closes from like 2 p.m. till 6 or like 5. They have this thing called like a siesta, and basically it's so weird. Things open like at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or sorry, things open up at 9 a.m. in the morning or 10 in the morning, and then it closes at like 2. And so you'll have like a ghost town from like 2 to like 5 or 2 to 7, and then things like the kitchen at restaurants that opens back up at 7 p.m. and then closes at like, I don't know, 8 or like 9 or 10 or whatever the hours are of the operations are. But it's so dumb. You'll have like this long period of just no operations for businesses, except for the gyms. The gyms are open during that time. That's like the one thing that I have noticed. But yeah, so you go to like a restaurant and it's like 4 p.m. and they'll be like, oh, it's closed. You can sit down in the restaurant, but the kitchen is closed. And I'm just like, dude, I fast. I only eat once a day. I fast from like, since when I wake up till like 5 p.m. and everything's closed. So I have to literally wait until like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. to eat something. So just be prepared for that, and maybe buy groceries and just make your own food, because nothing's open from like 2 to 7. And also to another thing that in terms of like hours and timing, everyone goes out really late in Argentina, so it's normal for things like the bars and clubs to not open until things don't get started until like I'd say 1:30 to like 2 in the morning. And that sucks because they go from 2 in the morning to essentially 7 in the morning. And so, I'm from the US, so I'm used, things happening at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., the pregame, 10 p.m. being in the club, and then things closing at like 2:30 in the morning, and then getting home like 3 in the morning. No, things start to happen at like 2 in the morning, and it closes at like 7. And so like, if you think about it, so you'll have like a Saturday, right? And you'll go out 2 in the morning to 7 in the morning. And then when you wake up on Sunday, everything's closed. So like nothing is open in the morning. So 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 11, nothing's open. Things on Sundays don't open until 5 p.m. So like my gym has this weird hour where on Sundays they're closed the whole day until 5 p.m. and then it closes at 8 p.m. So they have 3 hours of operation and then they're closed. And it's because everyone's going out Saturday night at 2 in the morning and they don't get home until 7 or 8 in the morning, and then they wake up like Sunday at like 2 p.m. That's when they finally wake up, or 3 p.m. and then the day doesn't get started until like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. on Sunday. So that's another thing that's like really weird. And the last thing, the con of Argentina is it's okay. I've been bashing on it for a good time. It's a beautiful country. The good thing is that it's kind of inexpensive to fly into Argentina, but the bad thing and the con is that it's so expensive to fly out of Argentina. To fly in, you can get a ticket for like $230 from LA to Argentina, $230, $300, no problem, right? To fly out, it'll cost like $800, $900, $1,000, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's because it has taxes. All of the taxes that the people pay, it's affected with the airfare. So when you're in Argentina and you're trying to fly out of Argentina, it's cost around $700 to $800. The trick for this is to take a bus from Buenos Aires to Mendoza, then from Mendoza to Chile, then from Chile you fly out to either Panama or to LA or whatever. The flights from Chile are actually really inexpensive. So you can get a flight from Chile to LA for like $300. And the buses that go from Buenos Aires or other parts of Argentina to Mendoza is only like $60. And then another I think $40 to go to Mendoza, and then I think another $40 to go from Mendoza to Chile. So that's like a thing that if you want to save money, be prepared to be on a bus for like 16 hours traveling to Mendoza, and then like another 4 hours to 8 hours traveling from Mendoza to Chile, and then going into Santiago, Chile, to fly from Chile to wherever you need to go. So that's like another con of Argentina that I wish gets fixed, because if they can fix the expensive airfare flying out of Argentina, I'd probably be going there like 3 to 4 times a year, because it's just a round trip would cost me $230 to $300 one way, another $300, like $600 round trip. And for me, that's affordable. But without it, I'm looking at paying like $800, maybe so 800 plus 230, it's like 1,000, 200, 1,400. It sucks, but those are the cons. All right, so those are the cons. We're gonna get out of here and then go back to our apartment and finish up this video because it's getting pretty late, and also maybe eat something. Let's go. All right, so since I'm leaving Argentina right now and I'm packing, I figured why not continue the conversation on things that I find interesting living in Argentina, my 1 month review. So a couple of things just off the top of my head. Guys here are really flaky. Maybe just people in general are really flaky. And what I mean by that is, on Friday, I was supposed to go to an asado with this Argentinian guy that I ended up meeting randomly. And he basically was like, oh yeah, come, like, let's do an asado. What are you doing Saturday? What are you doing? Or what are you doing Friday? What are you doing Saturday? And I was like, well, I'm getting ready to leave, so I'm not really doing anything. I don't have anything planned. And he was like, oh, let's do something before you leave. Let's do like an asado. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun. So in my mind, I had the idea we're gonna hang out on Friday. And you know, he tells me like on Thursday morning, oh, let me just double check with my friend because he has the patio available. Then like, I don't know, an hour later, like he messages me saying, oh, hey, my friend said it's cool, we can use the patio. Let's meet up on Friday, like 9 p.m. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we have like a date and a day and a time. And then, long story short, Friday comes around, it does hit me up. And I wasn't sure what to do I'm not sure what to do for an asado. So I asked some people here and they said, oh, you can bring meat and stuff, or you can bring like Fernet and Coca-Cola, or you can bring like wine. So I was thinking, well, the guy has a patio. They're probably gonna get the meat. So let me just get the wine. So I got the drinks. So I went to carniceria and I bought wine. You know, this was like at 6 p.m. I'm ready, and 8:30 comes around, no text from him. 9 comes around, no text. 10 comes around, no text. Then at around 11, like 40, I see that he posted a story on WhatsApp, and he was working out with some chick. I'm just like, dude, you ditched me to hang out with a chick and work out. So that's my experience with guys. Guys here are kind of flaky, and they'll be the first ones, I guess, to, I don't know, maybe I was like the fallback plan, but I think guys here, maybe it's just this guy, are the type of people who will put women first and not brotherhood. Then Saturday, the next day, I had plans to go out to a club with another guy and then like his coworkers. And I know all the coworkers. They've seen me because they go to a co-working space, and they work in the cafeteria. So they knew that my last day was on Monday. So they're like, oh, let's go out. And so my main contact was one of the guys there. My head, I saw them on Friday. So I saw them on Friday, and I told them, oh, so tomorrow we're good, right? Tomorrow, Saturday, we're good. And he's like, yeah, we're good Saturday. I'm probably gonna be tired, but let's do it. And then Saturday comes around, and guess what? He doesn't text me at all, so I'm just like, I text him in the midday. I'm like, hey, is tonight still on? And he's like, oh no, I'm working really far away from Cordoba. And then I'm like, no, and he just never responds. So I don't know. That's just my experience in general with people here are kind of just flaky. Communication seems to be like a problem. I think you really need to make sure, double check, in the morning, during the day, at night, the next day, just to make sure that like they're not going to cancel on you, because it sucks, because I could have been doing something else Friday, I could have done something else Saturday, and because communication is something maybe they're not used to. Frequent communication is not something I'm not used to. It just, it doesn't ruin my day, but it just makes it more difficult to do other things that I would want to do. I could have gone by myself over to like a nearby pueblo and checked that out, walked around for like 6 hours and then like came back. But because, I was already planning on doing something Friday and Saturday, it's already like 6 p.m. What else can I do? So that's just one thing, is people here in Argentina seem to be very flaky. Well, let me be fair. Here in Cordoba, Argentina, seem to be very flaky. I'm not really sure how it is with women in terms of like dating. And I've already covered this before, I think in another place, but the best way to meet women here is more like through like a social circle. So you meet a guy, then he introduces you to like a group, and there's like one girl there, and then you get to know her, and that's pretty much how it's done here. I got lucky because I met my girl at a club, but if I really break it down on how we met, it was because a random guy overheard my friend talking in English, and then the guy asked my friend, oh, where are you from? My friend said, oh, I'm from California. And then that guy introduced me and my friend to a group that I thought he was a part of the group, but he wasn't. So he introduced us to a group Then my girl comes up to me, she was like, are you from California? I have a video of this too. Like I have a video of all of this happening, like a POV video of her like, are you from California? Then I'm like, how do you know? And then she's like, oh, my friend. She's like, oh, they said you're from California. And then we started talking, and then we talked for like another 25 minutes. And then that's how I met my girl. Turns out, so like, I think that the next day, or sorry, yeah, the next, well, it's because my girl ended up going home with me that same night that I met her. And then the next morning, I guess later that night, she ends up telling me, because we went on a date that night, the night after. So she told me like, yeah, that guy actually was hitting on me, and I told him before that I had a boyfriend. And then he introduced your friend and you to the group, and then he saw me and you talking, and then he came around and he told me in my ear, oh, I thought you had a boyfriend. Like, shout out to the broski who introduced me to my girl, because I thought you were their friend, but you were just a random guy trying to hit on the girls in the group, but because of you. So yeah, that's my experience. So overall, some actionable steps. If you're watching this and you're a guy or a girl and you're watching this and you're in Argentina, double or triple book. Like, be the person that makes plans with multiple people, multiple groups on one day, because probability, from my experience, someone's gonna flake or two people are gonna flake. So just double, triple book, and then you be the person that ends up flaking on them. It's like, oh, sorry, something came up, boom. All right, change of pace, change of scenery. We're here at a Smart Fit in Colombia. So I want to wrap up the video by saying that Argentina is a beautiful country. Overall, you're trading a lot of different things. The culture is extremely different from other places in Latin America, and it's a lot safer as well. I feel more comfortable walking around at night in Argentina than any other Latin American country. I think the closest in terms of safety is probably walking around Mexico. But even then, that's pretty much, you're kind of gambling with your life there, because all it takes is one stray bullet to come and hit you. But there's a lot less theft, I would say, as opposed to like Colombia. So overall, I think you're trading more of like different culture and safety by going to Argentina. But at the end of the day, I think it's worth it to experience the different type of Latin cultures and people that live in Argentina, because it's a very huge country, different accents, different cultures all throughout Argentina. So I recommend it. I love the place, I love the country, and I'm definitely going back to visit and find myself Argentina. I'll see you guys, so make sure. Anyways, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys, you sex tourists, are safe and sound, and like this video for more content. Peace.